guys, Well Brothers Collectibles here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If you've just subscribed to this channel, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the content. So in this video, I want to take a look at some of my Star Wars autographs that I've collected over the years. From various Comic-Cons, different Star Wars conventions, from different actors that were in the original trilogy. So these are the DVD versions of the original theatrical releases and special editions. This was a limited edition release back in the day, and they have a little booklet inside. And every time I went to a convention and there was actors there that I wanted to get it signed, I decided to get these DVDs signed because they are the limited editions. So let's begin with the original Star Wars: A New Hope, episode 4. Now, in terms of which version I prefer, I was born in 1995, so I grew up with the special editions. They were all I knew as a kid, was the, altered versions of Star Wars, so they never really bothered me. Of course, I have seen now the original versions, and, they're fine. It's Star Wars, I still enjoy them, but growing up with the special editions, I don't see the issues with them. Personally, they don't bother me in any way, shape or form. There is some sillier changes when they got to the Blu-ray and the Disney Plus, like Darth Vader shouting at the end of Return of the Jedi, and the whole McClunky thing on Disney Plus, that I don't really like. But the first special editions and then the 2004 DVD releases, they're pretty much what I grew up with. So anyway, let's take a look at the autographs that I have from the original Star Wars. So they come with these little booklets inside, so I just decided to get these signed from the various actors that I met at these conventions. So I've never really met anyone like extremely famous. Like I've never met Mark Hamill or Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, nothing like that. None of the big names here. Really, the biggest actor that I met from Star Wars, I've got to say, was David Prowse. This is Darth Vader in the original trilogy. Now, he was pretty cool to me. This was at a independent Star Wars convention just before, like a week before The Force Awakens opened. Unfortunately, David Prowse is no longer with us. He passed away a couple of years ago. He had somebody with him, doing all the talking. You just literally joined the queue, and it was like, right, do you want your own item signing, or do you want to pay for one of his photos to sign? So I just went up to him and said, oh, could you sign this for me, please? I can't remember how much it was, but it wasn't expensive. He didn't really talk that much. In a way, he was just as intimidating as Darth Vader is in the movies, I suppose, even though this was just David Prowse, the guy. He didn't really speak that much because he was really old when I met him. It was only a few years after that I met him that he passed away. So I think he was wheelchair bound. He did look old and frail. I think he was in poor health at the time, and I'm not really sure. But so he didn't really speak. I just said, oh, could you sign this, please? And he did it. He didn't pose for photographs. He always declined photos, which is fine. I didn't ask him. It was a few people in front of me. I said, oh, can we have a picture? And he said, oh, no, sorry. So he didn't go for any pictures on the day, but it's still really awesome to have his autograph, Darth Vader, the original man in the suit, on this original Star Wars booklet. So it's pretty awesome. And then I met Paul Blake, who played Greedo. Now, I've read from various sources that a load of different actors played Greedo, but I believe this guy is the most well-known. I did also buy a photograph of Greedo that he signed, and I actually got a picture with him, but I ended up selling that autograph a few years ago. But I do actually still have him on this, obviously, which is pretty awesome. He was friendly. I just asked him, like, what was George Lucas like? What was it like on the set? And, he said, oh, George Lucas was really nice. Knew what he wanted, and, it was a good experience. I suppose he was only on the set for a very limited time, so his experience of the troubled production of Star Wars was probably a positive one. So he was nice to me as well. He was talkative. We spoke to him for probably about 10 minutes, actually. And the last one I've got here is Garrick Hagan. He played Big Starklighter. Now, his role was significantly cut down. And there was an extra scene, of course, with him in the special edition. I really don't have any memories of meeting him and talking to him. Obviously, I've got the autograph because I was there and I remember the convention he was at, but I don't really remember what he was like, or did we talk about anything? I'm really struggling to remember the interaction I had with him, so I really don't know. So yeah, on this one is David Prowse, Paul Blake, and Garrett Kagan from the original Star Wars film, A New Hope. Going on to Empire Strikes Back, the only actor I've met from this film so far is Jeremy Bulloch, and he signed it in a nice gold pen. He, of course, played Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He was one of the first celebrities, actors from Star Wars that I ever actually met. This was a very small Comic-Con, and there was a few minor Star Wars actors that went to this convention. And I think he's no longer with us, which is a shame. But again, he was nice. I don't really remember it. This was, you're talking about 10 years ago maybe that I met him. We actually had a photo, and yeah, he was nice. He was pleasant. I don't really remember what we talked about, but yeah, that is Jeremy Bulloch on The Empire Strikes Back. And then I've mentioned this previously in another video, but this is my Return of the Jedi autographs. So along with Jeremy Bulloch at the same convention, I met Femi Taylor, who played Oola, Jabba's slave girl dancer from the Jabba's palace scene on Tatooine before she gets eaten by the Rancor. And then she was lovely. I remember her the most. She sat and spoke to us for about 15 or 20 minutes. She was saying that she's doing this to raise money for her son's charity. And, could we help donate? And of course we did. And, we had a laugh and a joke that we felt sorry for her when she got eaten by the Rancor. And, she said she was actually asked to return back to reshoot scenes for the special edition. Which is pretty cool, and it was great to talk to her, and she was just lovely. She was super friendly, got a picture as well, and it's just a really, really pleasure to meet her. She was such a nice person, such a genuine person, and it's just really cool to have her autograph. And then this one, I can't actually remember. I think this was from the same convention as David Prowse. I don't even know what that says. Toby something. I think it was the man who controlled Jabba the Hutt or had something to do with Jabba the Hutt. Again, I think this was just a £10 autograph. I just went up. There was hardly any queue at the time, so I just went up and got it. So probably my favourite autographs in the entire collection here has got to be Femi Taylor, because I have the most memories of meeting her. She was absolutely lovely. And David Prowse is probably the biggest star on all of these because, he was Darth Vader, of course, the main villain of the original trilogy and the entire Star Wars saga. He was every bit as intimidating, really. Didn't speak much. But, I think he was in ill health at the time. But it was still such a really great experience to meet him, say hello. And I didn't pose for a picture, but still great to meet, of course, the original guy who played Darth Vader. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed looking at my Star Wars autographs that I have. As I say, there's no major big stars on these. Just some of the actors that I've met from the original trilogy at various conventions I've been to over the years. It's such a great experience to go and meet them and chat to them if you can. Some of them share their experiences, and it's always nice to maybe get a picture. And yeah, it's always good, for a Star Wars fan to go and meet the various people and learn about what it was like making these movies. That's what I'm all about. So it was a great honor to meet all these guys. It was a privilege. And who knows who I will meet in the future. I might go to more conventions in the near future and get some more guys on these DVDs that I don't have, which is something to look forward to. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, please definitely give this video a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you've not done so already. And yeah, take care, and I will see you soon in another video.